Welcome back, everybody, to Inside Texas Basketball. I'm your host, Evan Veith, as always, joined by my best friend over here, Keenan Womack. I was just in Hawaii. I'm back home, probably for the last time in this little setup. And you can see on my face that I got all of that red stuff going on. Keenan, his camera's making him look a little balder than he actually is.
Screw you, man.
That was a little conversation we had today. Before we jump in, of course, there's so many great things going on over at Inside Texas. That $1 flash sale until August 30th, that is the Ohio State game. $1 to get full access to the Inside Texas site. That can be anything from basketball recruiting, which we're going to talk about today, football recruiting, baseball, everything going on with just Texas athletics. It's in its best spot when you're at Inside Texas. Just $1 for that is the best deal you're going to find in all of college sports. And then, of course, we have our very own Paul Wadlington's Longhorn Football Prospectus. It's the 2025 edition of Thinking Texas Football. Everything that you could want to know about Texas football, the SEC, the current state of recruiting, NIL, and everything in college sports is going to be found in this book. It is a great piece that you should be going after and immediately looking for in the description. It's one of the best parts of the offseason for us Texas football fans, and you just get to read a lot about this team. But we're here to talk about some basketball, Keenan, of course. And sorry for that little dig at the start.
No, it's a joke. I'm all good.
So you recently produced an article, just kind of more men's basketball recruiting targets, notes, things like that, from Peach Jam. Now, talk to us about what EYBL Peach Jam is, because sometimes when we're on the show, we jump into these topics and these places, these tournaments, without really explaining what's going on.
Yeah, Peach Jam is one of the biggest EYBL, which is Elite Youth Basketball League. It's like a kind of AAU. There's EYBL Scholastic, which is like Montverde and Prolific Prep and the big schools like that, and you get a lot of your 5 stars from that grouping. But yeah, Peach Jam is one of the biggest events of the year for like high school prep hoops. It's not schools, it's like AAU teams kind of, and there's a lot of different, versions of AAU and things like that. There's so many levels to high school basketball to get into. But really what you need to know is it's one of the biggest events of the year, and all the top players in the country who are playing AAU basically play in this tournament. And it's kind of a who's who of who's next and who's going to be like the next big player. And a lot of Texas targets played in this event over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and these are the kind of things, as Connor pulls it up for us, that really can invest in stock for some of these players and get them from these 150 rankings up into the top 100 and even higher than that. And of course, this means that Texas is going to be involved. Head coach Tom Miller was there, and On3's/Rivals' Jamie Shaw has reported on a lot of these guys. And we've kind of this cluster of 4-star shooting guards that we've talked about before. The most notable one here is obviously Austin Gooseby, who we've talked about a lot. Left tackle, Trevor Gooseby's brother. BYU's Kevin Young was also there to look at him, and some assistants from SMU and Duke. Seems like those are some of the top schools for him. But talk a little bit about both him as well as Dakari Spear and Bryson Howard, all top 70 recruits in this class.
Yeah, I mean, BYU, we've seen them really invest heavily in basketball. I mean, in football, too. They just got Ryder Lyons in football. Mm-hmm. So basketball, they have the top recruit in the country by On3. AJ DeBonsta is a BYU commit. He's going to be playing for them this year, signee. Gooseby, I still like where Texas stands with Gooseby. I think Texas is in a very good position with him. But yeah, Miller was there. He's talked to SMU. He's taken visits to SMU, Duke, Miami. He's taken visits to a few different schools, or will take them. And he's taken some unofficials already. Bryson Howard, as we know, Josh Howard's son, talked about him. He had a crazy few months. I mean, he's just risen up the rankings so quickly. He's really becoming one of the top players, not just in the state, but in the country. Big shooting guard. He's not quite as big as his dad. I think Josh Howard was 6'6", 6'7". So I think Bryson's like 6'4". But yeah, everybody in the country is after this guy now. He's starting to get these blue blood offers rolling in. UConn, Duke, UNC, Kentucky, they're all looking after this guy now, and obviously Miller as well. I've heard Houston is a team to look out there as well, and then Dakari Spear, one of the top players in the state, shooting guard, and LSU's after him, Houston's after him, Texas Tech is hot on his trail as well. Grant McCaslin's doing a great job building rosters out in Lubbock. Aside from just the crazy NIL Tech's been turning out, I mean, they've just been very consistently good at basketball for about 15 years now, 10 years. And so they're heavy on Dakari Spear. He's getting a lot of in-state looks and a lot of in-state offers. Very talented scoring guard and a guy that Texas wants as well. But there's so many shooting guards in this class that Texas has offered and is after that I don't know where Texas stands with Spear at this point. But, Gooseby seems to be like their main target out of these guys, I would guess. But, I mean, all three of them are definitely targets for Texas going forward.
Yeah, it seems like Howard might be starting to get a little too national because you're seeing just the list of names and how well he performed there at UNC.
And he was great at Peach Jam. He was really, really good at Peach Jam. He averaged almost 20 points a game, 6 rebounds, 2.5 steals. So he was really on his game at Peach Jam. And that's a place where guys make their names a lot of the time. These guys will rocket up the rankings because of their Peach Jam performances. So Bryce was really good in that event.
And you note in this article that assistants from Duke and Michigan State were looking at him, as well as with Gooseby, other schools for Dakari Spear. What impact does it have having Sean Miller be the one with his boots on the ground here for these recruits?
I think it's a big deal. Yeah, I think it's important. It's not to say that it's a lock or anything like that, but I think it's a really big deal to have your head man there. There are a lot of head coaches there. I believe Dan Hurley was there. Rick Barnes was there. Kelvin Sampson was there. Like a lot of these guys, most of the head coaches were there, unless they were like overseas or something. I think pretty much any big time head coach is going to be at Peach Jam. It's like that big of a deal because all of the guys playing it are basically end up playing college basketball. Even if it's not at UConn or Texas or Kentucky or whatever. A lot of the smaller guys they'll play at, Quinnipiac or like these smaller schools, those guys get scholarships too. So a lot of coaches are there to find, maybe diamonds in the rough as well.
Definitely. And as we're going to go down a little further in this article to one of the bigger names here, Connor, we have a kid who's not too far away from where I originally grew up, Caden Samuels, the small forward who's from District Heights, Maryland, goes to Bishop McNamara High School. I was never good enough to hoop with those kind of players out there. And Caden Samuels definitely one of the top targets for this Texas team. This is one of the ones you really focused in on this article. Tell me about what's going on with this guy because he seems like one of the really true top targets that Texas is going after.
Yeah, I mean, he was really, really good at NBPA Top 100, which is a camp that was held last month. I think he was the MVP of that camp. So he's flying up. I think he's 15th overall now in the Rivals 2026 rankings. So he's a guy that is really, really would be a huge get for this Texas team. Big wing, scoring wing, can defend. He's a very versatile player. Really, really talented NBA type of guy for sure. I don't know, probably a one and done, honestly. He's like that kind of talent. I'm not saying he's a Trey Johnson, but who is? He's a guy that could change your team for that year, or maybe if you get him for 2 years, he could be your best player in year 2. He talked to Jamie Shaw recently and basically said Texas will probably be his first visit. Now, a lot of teams are hot after Caden Samuels. I know Georgetown is definitely in the mix for him. He has a good relationship with them, and Kentucky, North Carolina, NC State, all these schools are going after him hard. He was decent at Peach Jam. He wasn't as efficient maybe as you would have liked to have seen. He shot 40% from the field for the tournament, 41%, but he did average 20 points per game. So that's something he can improve upon, but definitely getting him on campus would be a big deal. He hasn't set any visits yet officially, I don't believe, but he is a guy that Texas is really in hot pursuit of, and a guy that would be a really important get for Sean Miller and would be up to that point his biggest high school commit. Even if if he's in the first few, he will probably be one of the biggest stars of that recruiting class should he land at Texas.
Yeah, and a lot of these truly East Coast kids, someone from Maryland, Georgetown makes a lot of sense for him, not too far away from that campus, but it's going to be hard to pull him away from those UConn, North Carolina parts. But it seems like the athletic facilities are a really interesting piece for him, and that's something where Texas can, in the NIL era, flaunt that, hey, we have this Kevin Durant-led group in these facilities, which I've sort of been into at points. They're impressive, and so is the campus. So what do you think the pull is for Texas here to get him out? And, of course, he's planning on visiting here, but not just to get him out to Texas, but to get him to want to stay there.
I think the draw for Sean Miller is the positionless aspect. It's like you're not pigeonholed to your position. As soon as you're on campus, he's going to use you in the best way possible, right? He's not going to put you in a position where you're not going to succeed. Whether that's defensively, Sean Miller used to be a defensive head coach that has changed his philosophy, and I've talked about this a lot. He's very adaptable, and how important that is at the collegiate level. I think Sark said adapt or die, and that is true for basketball as well, right? It's one of those things that with NIL and all these different things, it rapidly changes. Year to year, it's a different set of rules. So having a guy like Sean Miller at the helm, I think, is a really good sign for the future of the program in that they're not going to get stuck. We saw a lot with the previous administration that the offense just wasn't adaptable. They'd run one, maybe two actions per possession, and it got very stagnant after that. I just don't think that's something you're going to see with Sean Miller. So I think the draw is that he's going to figure out how to maximize Caden Samuel's skill set and turn him into an NBA player. Because I think that's ultimately Caden Samuel's goal, is to make it to the NBA. He has the talent to do it. He has the size to do it. He has the pedigree to do it. So he will play in the NBA. It just depends which school will get him there. And I think Texas is a great option for him in that sense.
And when you choose a school like Texas that's going to run that Miller-style NBA offense, not only will you be prepared for the NBA, but you're also going to be probably the focal point of that offense. If he's with someone like Gooseby or another shooter around him, he should be the top player if he were to commit eventually. But that's a long way away. We're going to hear from Luxe first, and then we're going to talk about some more players on this list.
This video is brought to you by Luxe Kitchen and Bath. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook, and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring to life that dream vision of your special home. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team provides full remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today. Or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get a free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's L-U-X-E. Or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Link in the description.
Thank you, as always, to LC and Luxe. We're going to go back up to Caleb Gaskins, who's another one of these really big small forward names in this class. He's a little bit more of a forward, whereas wing more for Samuels in that regard. But I believe he's top 10 in rivals or around that little area. A lot of interesting offers. He's a Florida kid, so Florida's obviously on him. Baylor, Miami. Just not some of the true powerhouses like the Dukes, UNCs, which does give Texas an advantage. And of course, Coach Miller being there. You can see the quote below. But Keenan, where is Texas standing on this kind of player? Because obviously they're going to shoot for the stars on a guy like Gaskins, but is there a real chance that this can be someone that they can get on campus and really work on and have him come to the school eventually?
I don't know. It's pretty early in his recruitment at this point, right? I mean, he played at Columbus, which is where like the Boozers played, who are Cam Boozer, Caden Boozer. They're Carlos Boozer's sons. They're both at Duke this year. Cam is a top 3 player in the country. I mean, if he has a good enough season, could go number 1 in the 2026 draft. So Columbus is kind of a powerhouse, right? They're a school that puts a lot of dudes into college basketball, into the NBA. Gaskins is the type of dude who, he's a combo forward. He's 6'8", just really talented, 5-star to the industry ranking type of guy. He's just a really, really NBA ready type of forward, and he's 6'8", he's already 210, and he's 17. So he's got good size, he's got a good build. It's definitely one of those situations where they're going to be fighting a lot of people for this guy, right? I mean, Florida offered most recently, I believe that was like a couple of weeks ago, Florida offered. But I mean, he's got Louisville, Baylor, Ole Miss, Miami, all these teams are in the mix. And, he has a good relationship with Miller and Adam Cohen, according to him, and he's the type of guy that is an impact freshman off the bat. He can be one of your best players, and he's just a guy that can create turnovers on defense. He's a very active defender, just big forward wing combo, and that's such an important archetype going into the NBA. Like those are the guys that get drafted every year are those combo forwards, like a Dalen Swain kind of. Gaskins has more pedigree coming out of high school than Swain did, and he's a guy that will very likely be a one and done, I would imagine. I mean, you never know with the NIL offers getting as crazy as they are now. Maybe if he's not guaranteed a top lottery pick or whatever, he might go back. But I would imagine he goes pro after his freshman year. Almost a 98 rating on Rivals overall out of 100. So really, really well thought of prospect. And I believe they can get him on campus for a visit. Whether they can close, I'm not sure. It's going to depend on where some of the other pieces kind of land. But yeah, Caleb Gaskins is a dude that's going to be on hoop mixtapes, and he's really fun to watch. He's going to be a real big name coming up for sure.
Yeah, and that kind of slashing wing is just so well appreciated in the NBA, which is why these kind of guys are always going to be near one and dones. We're going to head down to Junior County from Utah, which is just awesome combo of just everything going on. Wasatch Academy in Utah. Garnering some offers now. He's 6'5" point guard from teams like UConn, Maryland, Purdue, some of these really big programs. But he's talked about the fit with Texas, and pace, pace, pace. That's what it seems like with all these point guards that talk about them. It's the wings, they like the positionlessness. The point guards, I want to run an offense that runs the floor and I can really show off my ability to play make. Is that what's really the main factor here with County, and what is he bringing to this team if he does end up?
Yeah, he's like very much a pure point guard, right? He's a lead initiator to the T, right? That's his game. Great size for a lead guard, 6'5". He's not super built. I think he's kind of a little bit lighter. But, yeah, I mean, any of these guys that are looking at Texas that want to play lead initiator, like part of it, too, is some of the pressure's taken off of these guys when they get to Texas as lead initiators, right? Because so much of the Miller offense is playmaking by committee. You want to have guys off the ball that can make reads as well. So if you have a guy like Junior County running the offense, that's just another guy that can help make reads in the pick and roll. That can, it's just really beneficial to these guys to play in a system where it's obvious what they can do. And I think that's going to be the draw for any point guard that wants to go to Texas. Is like they're going to play up tempo and they're going to have a lot of opportunities to get assists. I mean, I know it's not all about stats, but those are the kind of things that NBA teams look at as like assist to turnover ratio. And if you play in an offense that's so positionless, there's so much going on off the ball, you're going to have a much better time trying to find open players, getting open looks than you would in an offense kind of like the last one we saw, which was very minimal movement off the ball and kind of focused on ball action. So yeah, I mean, County is a kid who's getting looked at. I believe he's pretty tight with Washington. I mean, anytime UConn's involved, you got to watch out because they're the program right now to watch. I mean, I know that they didn't win it last year and they had a bit of a down year, which wasn't even really a down year, but
for their standards.
I mean, since 2000, they've won 5 national championships. I mean, nobody's really close to that. So, I mean, anytime UConn's involved, they're going to be a threat. But yeah, I mean, Junior County is a guy, I believe he got offered, I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks ago. I might be wrong on that, but I believe it was a more recent offer. And yeah, I mean, he's just the type of guy that can run an offense and be your point guard from day one.
Yeah, and his older brother, Senior City, is already hooping out in.
This guy.
We're gonna head down to Josiah Jervis, another New York target, which is something that seems Texas has been doing, and because he's a more recent offer, and it's kind of just starting this relationship with him. I want to take this kind of player as a time to ask a question about the positions that we're seeing a lot here, because Texas this current window did a lot with the big men. They got a lot of power forwards and centers. It seems like right now with this 2026 class, a lot of emphasis, though they are offering these big men, has been put on shooting guards and small forwards. Why do you think that is? Is that just because they need these kind of guys, or is this an overall look at how Miller is going to be recruiting these players long term?
I think they're like guys that can, create off the dribble, and that's something Jervis can do. Jervis was a pretty recent offer, I believe, in the last couple of weeks. He's a guy that's NC State's going to be a pest for Texas. Will Wade, they're throwing money around. They got a really good roster this year. They got Terrence Arsenault, they got Darian Williams. Like they got a squad. They took Matthew Abel in a pretty hotly contested commitment recruiting battle with Texas. They ended up getting Abel a few months ago. So, Jervis is a guy that he played at Archbishop Stepinac. That's where Boogie Fland played. So they've put dudes into college basketball, and he's a 2 guard, but he's really working on becoming a lead guard. That's kind of his goal because he's 6'4", I believe. And so obviously that's decent size, but if you want to be an NBA guard, it's good to have those lead guard skills. And I believe that's something that he's working on currently. And he talked about, Trey Johnson. And I think Trey Johnson is going to be a big piece of what they do recruiting wise, as far as look at the things we put into the league. Look at this guy. And obviously Kevin Durant's still involved. Everybody knows Kevin Durant. Of course.
Yeah, and those are 2 easy selling points there for any kind of Longhorn commitment that's coming in. We're going to scroll down to one last name, one that might be a little familiar for some fans who are keeping in touch with football recruiting, because as we take a little bit more of a look at the 2027 class, Kavian Bryant, Westwood, Palestine, Texas kid, he's a quarterback as well, and he might be the best quarterback in this 2027 class, at least in the state of Texas. And that's how head coach Steve Sarkisian and quarterback coach AJ Milby over at football I've been treating him, and he's been offered by the Longhorns, and it seems like he is the priority for this team. And in a recent report by Justin Wells, one of our awesome recruiting coordinators, he said that both sports are in play here, kind of similar to Jonah Williams with baseball, but it's almost a little scarier to think about your quarterback playing basketball, a more contact-based sport. But that seems to be something that Sarkisian might be okay with for a guy like Bryant. He's obviously pretty well known as a quarterback, but pretty also well known as a basketball player, ranked highly in the 2027 class. What does he bring as a basketball player? Because a lot of us, our fans, know a little bit about him as a quarterback.
Yeah, he's a very good athlete, man. I mean, just super talented physically as an athlete. He's not huge, he's 6'2" right now, but again, he's a 27 guy. He can grow a couple of inches. Get to 6'4", you can play 2 in college. I think he's leaning football from what I've read and heard. But, if for some reason they do allow him to suit up for playing the Moody Center, he's super, super high motor type of guy, right? And that comes from both sports. Wells talked to him, did a little interview with him, and you should read that piece as well because it kind of goes into his balance between both sports. But yeah, Brian is a guy that Sean Miller has offered. Sean Miller talks to him a lot. They have a very good relationship. Now, if it were to come down to it, I think he would probably pick football. I think he's a higher rated football recruit than he is a basketball recruit. But I mean, just a very talented athlete and a very good kid from everything I've read and heard. So, Brian is really talented. His brother is another guy that's coming onto the scene too. I don't remember whether I don't think he's a quarterback, but he's a 2029 guy. Caden Bryant is another guy. Look out for it coming in the future. But yeah, I mean, Brian is a 60th ranked player in the class of 2027. So it's not like he's like a 2-star who's like trying to make it in basketball. Like if he wasn't a football player, he'd be playing college basketball. So yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like you kind of want him to be rated lower if you're the football guy,
right?
To be playing quarterback. Then on the inverse, wouldn't it be? I mean, when have you seen a quarterback that's also a top scoring player on a basketball team?
Charlie Ward.
Yeah, Charlie Ward. There you go. So this is such an interesting recruitment, and he's got schools already. Sam Spiegelman, who's one of the best writers over at Rivals for recruiting for football, talked about Texas Tech is going to be a pain in Texas aside for this one. Michigan's already been talked about as someone who's kept in touch with him, and those are both schools that, similarly to Texas, are building really strong basketball and football programs long term. So this is going to be a really interesting one to watch in this 2027 cycle. We'll know more about him a year from now probably, but this is one where Steve Sarkisian always wants to get his quarterbacks a year out. So maybe we could have some basketball news alongside that if that were to happen, but still a long ways away. And it's always good to have these tournaments in the offseason to hear that Coach Sean Miller is on the ground talking to these players in person, because it makes for really good recruiting, and the recruiting steam is really picking up for this Texas basketball team. Guys like Gooseby are going to be really interesting, the Ogden recruitment in Austin, but we're going to have more as this offseason goes on. We're not getting too far away from the actual basketball season, Keenan, where we're going to talk about real basketball games.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
I'm excited for that. But in the meantime, it is starting to become football season. One last reminder to go over to Inside Texas. If you haven't subscribed already, I don't know why you're watching this video and haven't done that yet. Just $1 for new members only to go over and subscribe to Inside Texas. Football, basketball, baseball are bread and butter, and you're going to get a lot of football stuff this upcoming month with the Ohio State game coming. And then, of course, Paul Wildington's Thinking Texas Football, that 2025 Longhorn Football Prospectus. Just the best book you can get on Texas Longhorns, recruiting in the sport, NIL, the SEC, everything involved. That's going to do it for us today over here at Inside Texas Basketball. I've been your host, Evan Beef, as always, joined by Keenan Womack. Thank you all for listening.